Hello, everybody, and welcome to our TMG's Falcon and Winter Soldier spoiler review. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am not Matt Beer, the normal host. My name is Aaron Knoll. I'm the guy you get when the normal host can't be there, and we are excited to bring you guys this myself. And there's really no point in doing the reveal. It's myself and Nikki. We are going to be spending a little bit of time breaking down the third episode of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Power Breaker, I believe is what it's called. Power Broker. Yes, thank you. Power Broker.
Power Breaker would be kind of cool. Like, it's just like, I'm gonna break your powers. It's just sounds like a villain in an X-Men movie, because like you need to have like Professor X. You can't have him at full power. So he's the Power Breaker, guys. He's gonna break your powers, and then you're not gonna be able to use them for the rest of the movie.
I'm glad Fox isn't making movies anymore, because as the people who took the "I'm a Juggernaut bitch" meme and put it in a movie, they create that character for the movies now after hearing this.
You don't like the "I'm a Juggernaut bitch"? What's wrong with that?
No, the original meme joke thing is funny. The one from the movies,
That's the thing. That's what I don't understand. Like the original meme one, I had never seen that. I had never seen that before. I
saw it after the movie. And to me, it's more just, I don't think Vinnie Jones is a very good actor. He was a better soccer player than he is an actor. So the delivery's like at 300.
He's a soccer player?
He was a soccer player before he was an actor. Yeah. No, Vinnie Jones. He was a professional soccer player in England before he was a football for all you English people watching. Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got into
English people watching, including Daniel Bruhu. Is he English?
Yeah. No, he is German, I believe.
He's German?
Yes.
Wow. Well, he's not Sokovian, that's for sure.
He's not. No, he's not Sokovian royalty. As can I just say off the bat, that was my favorite line of the episode. Is so you've been secretly rich this whole time? I mean, I am a baron. It's like, that would make sense.
That was great.
He didn't give himself that title. It's like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, he would have money. Yeah. That's a Deus Ex Machina that makes sense.
Yeah. Because it's one of those things where like they never call him Baron Zemo in the movie, but I think it's like credited as Baron Zemo or something. Like it's like with the Scarlet Witch. Like, oh, they don't call her Scarlet Witch until WandaVision. But she is credited as the Scarlet Witch in every single Marvel movie that she's in.
Like in the credits?
Yeah, in the credits. It says Elizabeth Olsen, Wanda Maximoff / Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. So to answer the previously discussed question, Vinnie Jones was a professional soccer player in England from 1984 to 1999. He transitioned to acting because he's personal buddies with Matthew Vaughn and Guy Ritchie, and so he was in all their early films.
This is my one takeaway from the episode. That's just like it's gold.
Ooh, copyright. Let's see what we do. The party scene.
This is just random people dancing. Zemo doing a fist pump. That's what gets it for me. That's what the number one scene of the episode is the Zemo fist pump. Because I thought it was so out of place. Like if you saw that after Civil War, but just seeing it with the version of Zemo we get here, that's just like so over the top and like this flamboyant, almost like an evil Bruce Wayne. They did a lot with him that I like. They made a lot of choices with Zemo that I appreciate.
I will say one of the things that I did. Again, correcting things I have said to be correct. Daniel Bruhl is actually half Spanish, half German, like Spain Spanish.
Wow. So that's where he gets the rhythm from.
Yeah, his full name. His name is like a mix and match. His full name is Daniel Cesar Martin Bruhl Gonzalez Domingo.
I'm sorry, you pronounced that wrong. It's Daniel Bruhl.
I don't know how you say it with that little dot thing over it.
I don't know what those two dots on the U is. That's not a letter in the English alphabet. So
it probably sounds like a vomit. I don't really.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's. Yeah, he's a half German, half Spanish actor whose first big role was playing an Austrian. So that's why we're all confused on what he. And then he was a Sokovian. That's why we're all confused. I would have guessed Spanish, but I guess he does have it in the accent a little bit.
Yeah, and his face.
His accent is faintly. Yeah, okay, I see it.
he looks like the bad guy. It's like what Ant-Man says in Endgame. He looks like the bad guy. But I like that they kind of made him this. It was almost like he was just one of the boys in this episode.
Yeah,
like there was a second where Emily Van Camp's like, "Oh, this guy ruined my life," and then after that, it's just like, "Yeah, let's go party and go undercover, like party with Zemo." Yeah, I didn't know I needed that in life.
I will say, and I don't remember if this was on camera because I think this was before Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like this show was obviously announced before I came back and joined the podcast. But and Falcon and Winter Soldier really never came up all that much before we came up to the show. But one of the things I remember talking about with friends, because I have friends in real life that are huge Marvel fans. One of the things that I do. One of the things every time I miss an AD, it's because I'm actually living. One of the that sounded douchey.
No, friends. My only friend is Aaron. That's why I'm here on a Friday night.
One of the things that I said I was looking forward to at this show is when Daniel Bruhl got announced. I was like, look, if he turns out to be the villain, cool. Because I honestly believe Zemo is the most underrated villain in the MCU. I love what they did with him in Civil War. I really, really like it. But if they use him, and I said this ages ago, I was like, but he's almost the villain that had internally at least such a noble cause for what he was doing. I could see them almost twist him the other way. And even though this entire episode, I was watching it being like, when's the backstab coming? When's the backstab coming? When's the backstab coming? And then they do the fake out, which I actually thought was brilliantly done. If he does a backstab, then I saw it coming.
Yeah. It's like Loki in Thor: The Dark World. It's like he will betray you.
If they get through this whole show and he turns out to be a good guy the whole way through, and this whole thing, like him being in the film was just a cop out to hide the true villains, I'll be impressed. I think it's a really great use of him. He has great chemistry with both of them. Which isn't something we got to see in Civil War because
he doesn't interact with them at all in Civil. Well, that's not true. He does interact with them in the when they're at the UN in Germany, like he's in the box and Bucky's in the box. And Sam's like, "Hey."
Yeah, like I don't remember if he shares a scene with Sam.
And every time all Sam says with him, he's like on the ground. He gets up, he runs over the elevator, and Sam's like, "Hey." It's like if you're gonna chase after him, don't warn him before you chase after him, Sam.
But like every scene he shared with Bucky was in like Winter Soldier mode. He didn't get to show personality, so you couldn't really ever see that they had chemistry. But he fits in really well. And so to answer your question, because I'm apparently doing research while streaming, he is only credited as Helmet Zemo in Civil War.
If you research, then nobody can correct us in the comments.
Exactly.
Comments is correct. It still counts as interaction, guys.
He was credited as Helmet Zemo.
Credited as Helmet Zemo. Like that's what it says.
That's the credit. Helmet
Colonel,
Zemo.
Yeah, and I think Friday calls him Colonel Helmet Zemo.
Possibly, yeah, because he was in the army.
Yeah, he was in the Sokovian like kill squad or something like that.
I completely forgot until this episode because that was one of the things that caught me off guard first. Was I was watching the opening sequence and like the obviously spoilers, but like the prison break sequence at the start. I was watching that going, hold on, this dude didn't kick any sort of ass in Civil War. How is he doing this all of a sudden? And then I remembered, like, oh yeah, there was that tidbit about he was in the army. Okay, so I guess they never used it, but they've said it, and then they show later he also has very good gun training, which does make sense for having been in the army.
Yes.
So I'm gonna get this out of the way quickly because it's been a recurring thing in these episodes. A name that I have mentioned over the last 2 episodes, guy by the name of Derek Kolstad, who you guys will know from the John Wick franchise. He wrote those. He wrote the recent Bob Odenkirk film Nobody, which is really, really good. You guys should check it out. I believe it actually is either going to streaming soon or just went to because it's a Universal film. I don't remember how long it's been in theaters.
It's on streaming. I should probably be able to see it too.
It'll be soon. No, it just came out last week, so it'll be soon on streaming because it's a Universal film. But Derek Kolstad, I've said this from the moment he got added to the show. Derek Kolstad is the thing that excites me because this dude knows how to write action, and that is the best part of this episode. Whether it's the prison break stuff, whether it's Bucky beating people up at the bar, whether it's what we get to see Sharon Carter do in the crates outside. That is some John Wick shit right there. The way they're filming it, the way they're framing it, the way that they're executing the moves. And
I even said it. I'm like, oh my gosh, Sharon's like John Wicking it over here. Because she, during that episode, like I was watching it with Devin, and I said to him, I'm like, okay, somebody needs to go help her because she needs help. And then she just kills all these guys. Okay, maybe she doesn't need help, but she can't possibly kill all of those guys. And then she kills all of those guys. She kills them all herself.
It's like it is like John Wick. It's like in the second one when they send every assassin after him. You're like, he can't kill every assassin in New York right now.
And he does.
No, he can, and he will.
And he
unless you're Common, in which case you're left alive in case you're free to film the third one.
Yeah, unless you're Common or Lawrence Fishburne. He's fair.
Yeah.
Possibly Ruby Rose. I thought she died, but...
No, she did. She did.
Oh, good. She did on that. She did on Batwoman. They recast her on Batwoman.
They did. I saw that.
They have a different lady playing her now. Like, she got her face cut off.
I saw that, and I was like, wow. So they not only recast the character, then they recast her role too. All right.
No, it's hilarious, and this isn't bad.
Didn't the show get canned too?
She's living in her house. She's working at her bar. She's going to date her girlfriend. She's wearing her clothes. It's absurd how much they just put her in there. But this is Falcon talk, guys. Falcon in this episode, surprisingly enough, did not use his wings at all.
No. So I kind of want to, let's go through the episode kind of beat by beat. Like, let's go through it and talk about.
So the PSA at the beginning.
Yeah. So we see one of the PSAs at the beginning, which immediately leads into the Flag Smashers. What'd you say?
Mephisto.
Oh, yes. Mephisto shows up. No, it leads into the Flag Smashers. And you kind of get a bit of, which it wasn't the clearest bit of backstory, I will say, but you kind of start to see the good job. You want one of the masks, the coconut masks?
I do. I would love one of those masks. No, I'm into her. I really like her.
She's good. She's good.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing with that character. It makes me wonder. I don't know what it'll be, and we'll get into this later. We are still missing a main character, like a credited main character. Which, funny enough, this show is doing the same. Is doing one of the same things that WandaVision did, and it's not something that really affects the show, but it's just an odd decision. It's an odd decision that I kind of go look at which is the crediting of its main characters.
Yes.
In WandaVision, I believe his name is Josh Stamford, the guy who played Hayward, was never credited as a lead, despite the fact that he's in more episodes than some of the lead characters.
Carl Umley wasn't credited as the lead either. You had to go dig for him in the credits.
I wasn't even gonna go to Carl Umley. Clay Bennett, who's playing oh my god, what the fuck is the guy's name? John Walker's buddy.
Oh, Battlestar.
Yes. He's also not credited as a lead, which, again, he seems like he's going to be in probably every episode Walker's in. So it's like, that's a weird decision. Maybe it's just because he's not a name.
Falcon sidekick, the Army guy, or the Air Force guy.
Over the phone.
Yeah, and he's barely in this episode. I think he's in it.
Well, that's also precedent because what's her name? Deborah Jo Rupp got lead crediting every time she showed up in WandaVision, and she was only in one episode, really. She just cameoed in the rest and kept getting credits. Kept getting credits from it. So it's like,
do that, though, because they do that with the posters, too. Like, if you look at, a movie like Black Panther or even Infinity War, M'Baku's not on either of those posters, and he's in it more than some of the characters that are on the poster. Like, Angela Bassett. But M'Baku's nowhere to be seen. M'Baku's a major force in that movie.
nowadays that might be different, but that's probably star status. Angela Bassett versus Winston Duke, no competition.
It's amazing. Even in Endgame, Endgame is like some great like hero shots in Endgame.
He does, yeah. He's I love him, man. He's a great him and that. Even in Us, I thought he was really good. I'm curious to see him get more work.
He was good in that Spencer Confidential as well. Like that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not Captain Sisko, guys. Calm down. He's not Avery Brooks, but he's still good.
I mean, that movie was not the best.
Originally played that character, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Yep. Every day when I watch Star Trek Deep Space Nine, I'm like, oh, there's Hawk. He's doing the Hawk look.
That movie, Falcon, Winter Soldier. Neither of them are in Spencer Confidential. So we open with the Flag Smashers, and we see that Carly Morgenthau. Thank you. Yes. I was like, it's a lot of letters. There's a silent G somewhere in there. So Carly Morgenthau has a dying relative. I couldn't tell if it was like a sister or
I think it's like a foster mother.
Yeah, she's clearly got a dying.
She said that she was a teacher.
Okay, so she's clearly got a dying relative of some form. And they mention later in the episode that it's tuberculosis. Mm-hmm. That's the person there.
That's like, you shouldn't die from that.
But in third world countries?
Yeah.
Because they established there in Latvia, I believe, is where they established their hiding. So in a third world country...
These are essentially internment camps, too. Like, I don't mean to get political, but these are internment camps.
Oh, the show's getting political. The show's not scared of being political, which I like.
No, it's not. It's not. So I don't think we should be scared of, like, saying stuff like that either. But like, these are, like, internment camps, and because they're so, like, grouped in together, tuberculosis is very contagious, so they don't necessarily have the funding to have vaccines and stuff for it. So people that are held in captivity like that are more likely to die from something like that.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
That's what was happening there. The Global Repatriation Association thing, they do, like they keep saying, they care more about the people that came back than the people who were left there for the 5 years. And the people who were left there for the 5 years, and even like Aunt May in Spider-Man Far From Home mentions it. I was blipped back, and I just woke up in my apartment. I was just there, and there was some other people living there. So what do you do in that situation? Do you throw the people who bought the house out of the house? Do you let the people who used to own the house live back in? It seems like this Global Repatriation Committee or whatever they call it, RAC, GAC. Yeah, you can figure out the letters yourselves.
It's GRM.
They're taking people out of their homes that they had these 5 years and putting the people who lived there before. Because she even says during the 5 years it was good, but once everybody came back, we had to go here. So they just have this thing where these people are forced to live somewhere else where they had made a life. 5 years is a long time.
Yeah, it is.
That's a long time to live somewhere, like in any home. Like you're settled. It's not like you moved in and then 5 months later somebody's like, "Hey, I want my house back." You've started a life for yourself at that point. So there are a lot of people that did benefit from the snap. People who were alone, people who had nowhere to turn, people who were like just didn't have anything to lose. They benefited from the snap. People who had everything to lose, they lost in the snap. So like the overall like concept of the Flag Smashers, it's really noble. Like it's a John Lennon viewpoint, like no flags, no countries, no religion, nothing to divide us.
Right. It is. And so I like that they're outside of the viewpoint, and obviously viewpoint is to the person. It's whether or not you agree with what they stand for, right? And that is part of it is. And I like that. And again, that kind of goes with what I said earlier about Zemo kind of being a bit of a noble villain, but a villain in the context you view him in the film is it very much is everyone's the hero in their own story. Sometimes your reasons are a bit better than others. And this show is doing a great
Joker who just likes chaos, but like this seems to be like somebody with purpose.
They have a purpose, right? And so so we move on from them. We move back to Falcon and Bucky, where they're kind of they go and visit Zemo, and then Bucky says, "Look, we got to break him out. We need him. He is the one to help us." And it's revealed that while Bucky is very detailed explaining how the breakout would work, he's actually already enacted it, and Sam doesn't really have a choice with going with it. Which I did like the moment that came from that of whatever, when Cap, stood against the Sokovia Accords, he asked you to stand with him. For me, I'm asking you to do the same thing again.
Yeah.
I'm asking you to trust me.
That's not how IOU works. Like, you don't owe him again. Like it's not you help me twice and I'll help you once. That's not how IOUs work. But what I did like about it, because as soon as that happened, I thought it was one of those things where it's like they're gonna show you these different scenarios that they could do, but like they're showing Bucky like doing all this, and then Falcon's gonna say, "No, we're not doing that." And then they don't do that. They end up doing something else. But they completely flipped it and said, "No, we're not doing that. You're right. We're not doing that. I already did it."
It already happened.
Because it's one of those things where if they ever, it's always in like a heist or a breakout movie. If somebody looks at the camera and says, "Here's the plan," and then they show you the plan beat by beat, plan's not going to work. If they don't show you the plan, then the plan works. And this is one of the instances where they didn't show us the plan. He just did it. They made us think he was showing us the plan, and then it was just done.
Right. I'd like to think what happened was Zemo broke out, met with Bucky, told him exactly what happened, and is just standing off to the side waiting for that perfect moment to walk in. Because that's one of those cinematic things like, oh wow, that was great timing, man. Good job. No, so kind of moving on from that, so Zemo's on the team, and they I forget the name of the country, but they establish
country.
It's a what?
They're an X-Men country. It's I'll pull this one up because it's actually the location in the X-Men comics where
I knew it wasn't a real place.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't a real place, so I figured it was from the comics.
Yeah, but it's very nice.
Yeah.
It looks kind of like Hong Kong.
It does. It kind of looks like where they went in Black Panther. Was that Seoul they went to in Black Panther? It kind of looked like there, the nice parts.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they determine basically they determine based off of what Zemo says that the best person to speak to is located here. Nikki will find the name of the place in just a second, and so that's where they head to. They reveal Baron Zemo's rich. He can basically bankroll this whole thing, and they get on a plane and go there. Meanwhile, and I forget exactly at which point they cut to, they do quickly cut to Captain America. Say it?
Madripoor or something like that? Madripoor. Yeah, that's what it is. Madripoor.
Madripoor. Thank you. Madripoor. So meanwhile, we cut away to Captain America and Battlestar. Battlestar, that's what his name is?
Yes, Battlestar.
That's an awful name. It really is.
It's like Battlestar. That's an awful name.
It really is.
I thought it was cool.
Captain America and Battlestar, who are
I think a better name than the Winter Soldier.
I guess, but he didn't give himself that name.
It's like Battlestar Galactica, like Battlestar.
Dude looked in the mirror and went Battlestar.
And I like how the his vest, like his SWAT vest, like on the seams, like it forms a star. He's got a battle vest on and it has a star.
He's Captain America.
I think that's cool. I like it.
The design's cool. The name is just awful, but the design's cool.
See, I'm the other way on that. I think the design is stupid, but the name is cool. Like this guy Battlestar, he deserves a better suit.
Probably. So we cut to Cap and Battlestar, who basically determine that they're out of leads. Like they go to the place that we saw in episode 2 where Morgenthau was hiding out. They raid that place. There's nothing in there for them. The guy's not giving them up.
He's not getting chicken livers either.
And so they kind of, and we get the continuation of this later in the episode, Walker basically comes to the conclusion of, look, we're out of sources, but we know two people who don't need our sources will use other sources to get their information. We can't step out of the bounds of the government because we work for the government, but we can tail them and just jump in and take the credit at the end. And there's a line that Walker says, and I'm pushing two scenes together, but there's a line that Walker says where Battlestar questions the basically the ethics of what they're doing, and Walker says, well, does it really matter how we get the results? And it's like, okay, that's the next kind of sign of, okay, this guy's not quite what he seems. This is going to go south in some way. I still think, and this is what I like, is we have 3 potential villains in this show, and I like how any of them could not turn. I easily believe that they could just go the route with Walker of, look, this is just a dude who's been put in a shit situation, isn't getting support, and is stressed at the job, and this is the step he takes. He could still end up being a hero by the end of this.
Yeah, he could.
Just the same as how the Flag Smashers could end up on the good side of things. Maybe the power broker who's after them turns out to be something more. Just the same as, Zemo could turn out to be a bad guy, or maybe he is just a straight good guy through this. We don't really know. And I like that. I like the complexity that they're bringing to this. It's complex, and it does create discussion, but it's in a different way than WandaVision, which I enjoy. And it's what I like is how, and so it brings it back to the comment, obviously, and we'll get to, as we work through, we'll get to the surprise character at the end. This show does have surprise characters that we didn't expect in the way that WandaVision did, but it's not big, mind-bending, breaking characters. It's
better than WandaVision too. I mean, just
so far
the way
it is, yes.
Characters, not even like just in quality of the show, because like the Evan Peters thing, we knew about that. We knew that was happening long.
Well, that got leaked. That wasn't their fault.
But that's one of those things where like no one was really surprised when he showed up.
Right.
Like, even people that aren't fans, like I was watching this, I was watching that episode of WandaVision with my mother, and she was like she's basically surface level. Like she's seen the X-Men movies, she's seen the Avengers movies. She has like the general knowledge that Pietro and Wanda Maximoff, their brother and sister, Magneto's kids, like she knows that sort of stuff. So when when the door knocks, she's like, oh, it's her brother. It's going to be her brother, isn't it? And then the door opens and she's like, yeah, it's her brother. And it took her a second to realize that it was the wrong Quicksilver.
It was a different person.
It was Quicksilver, but that it was the wrong Quicksilver. With this, there's no interpretation at all. It's just like, oh, Ayo. Wasn't expecting to see you in this, but nice. That's cool. Because now I'm excited. We get Ayo, like she's in all the battles. She has like that move, you would be moved, in Captain America Civil War. She has some cool moments. It's just now we get to kind of fill out that character. We get to have a little bit of depth in it. And I don't know when they shot this. Is there any? And this could be wild speculation. I'm not getting attached to this at all. I'm just asking about timeline. Is there any possibility Chadwick Boseman shows up on this show, or had he already passed away when they were filming? Because they started filming this like a year and a half ago.
If you give me time, I can find out.
Because that was the first thing when they started saying about Zemo. You think the Wakandans forgot about what he did? He killed King T'Chaka, and like that immediately hit me. Like, okay, Bucky was in Wakanda. Black Panther would leave Wakanda to get the guy who murdered his father. They were going to extradite Bucky before they proved his innocence.
Right.
Like they were ready to extradite him to a Wakandan prison. Tony says so himself. So that's what I thought was weird, was that why didn't Zemo get extradited to a Wakandan prison right off the bat? Because he's not a German citizen. he's a Sokovian citizen, which apparently doesn't exist anymore. So he wouldn't be in a Sokovian prison. Germany is where he committed the crime, but they were ready to send him to Wakanda. They were ready to send Bucky to Wakanda. Why aren't they ready to send Zemo to Wakanda? Is it because he's a parent?
At the end of Civil War, they make a point of showing that he's let go of the anger. I think that's what it is, because they wanted to extradite Bucky from the U.S. government to the Wakandan government because of his aggression and anger towards the actions. At the end of the movie, and they when I forget the exact line, but basically Zemo implies, like, "Are you going to kill me?" And it's like, no, there's no point to that. And I think it's kind of the same point as, like, they could.
I won't let it consume me.
Thank you. They could torture him endlessly in a Wakandan prison if they wanted to, but
I don't think they would have.
There's no point.
Because I have a feeling that Wakandan prisons are pretty nice, you know? Well, like Wakabi's probably just chilling in there. You know, like, he's probably not. I don't assume they mistreat their prisoners in Wakanda.
Probably not on purpose.
That came from Tony, who doesn't really know how the penal system or anything in Wakanda works at that point. He doesn't know that they're an extremely rich civilization that pretends to be poor.
Oh, right. The world thinks they're
probably a lot better than Germany's, even though that cell was pretty nice. Like, that was
that's a decent prison.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind, like, having, like, that be a room in my house. Like, it was nice. It had that toilet there, that prison toilet. Every time I see prison toilets, I just think, like, yeah, prison toilet. Like, who's the manufacturer of those prison toilets? Because they're always the same.
I don't know. I do not know.
Yeah. Is it Whirlpool, or they don't get product placement on that stuff? Oh, and speaking of product, we did get a Cheerios product placement in this episode.
Oh, right.
Yeah. That was a pretty funny scene too. I like that, where it's like undercover. It's like, answer it, put it on speaker, and they were doing so well. Until she said Sam.
They were, and I like that. Now, there is a missing link, and I like what the episode does. The episode does a good enough job at throwing enough at you that you. So here. Let me, because we were doing beat by beat. I'll catch up the plot basically quickly before I get into it. So they go to, what's the place called again?
Matapor.
They go to Matapor. They go into the seedy, clubby area of Matapor. They get the meeting with, she looks like she's some kind of club owner, kingpin type role. Honestly, like someone you'd see in a John Wick film, named Seldy, who basically Zemo is having Bucky play the part of the Winter Soldier, and he has Sam disguised as someone who is. Yeah, as Striped Tiger, is that what it is? As somebody who's in the area a lot. And so they get this meeting with this woman, and Zemo offers the Winter Soldier in trade for information. Basically, he's attempting to use Bucky's acting ability to persuade information. And in the scene before, we get an action sequence where some people in a bar try to attack Zemo, and Zemo basically indicates, "Hey, Winter Soldier, do the Winter Soldier thing." And that's definitely going to come back later, because Bucky slipped into that real quick. Like, it's still second nature to him to just start whooping ass. John Wick style, might I add. But he slipped into it very quickly. And so you see that he can pull the aggression. You know, he's the Winter Soldier with a haircut, basically.
Yeah.
Which, can I say?
Drink rattlesnake venom?
Yes, basically.
Okay, that would have. He would have been on the floor.
Don't question it.
Like, he doesn't have super soldier serum. He's never drank that before.
There's probably alcohol breathing through that snake anyways. Don't question it.
It's like the first time you have tequila or something. Like, you're not you don't know how that's gonna affect you. You shouldn't do that on mission, man.
Hey man, whatever to keep the peace. whatever to keep the peace.
You would drink snake venom to keep peace?
If
I'd
I
kill
was
every man,
under,
woman, and child to have peace.
if I was undercover in a fictional country trying to extradite information that could aid me in stopping super soldiers who want to tear down the foundations of the world, as I look at it from that perspective, yeah, I'd probably chow down some snake venom just to get through that.
But here's the thing. Do you want the usual? No, I'll have a glass of water. There's your out right there.
That would have thrown him off, though, bro. He always has the usual.
That bartender had some reaction shots, though. He kept going.
That bartender looks familiar. I don't know who he is, but he looks familiar.
I don't know what he's from.
But yeah, so they get through that. They get back to Seldy. They're having this discussion. Aforementioned, we get our first of 2 phone cameos in this episode when let me get her name up. I had it here. The actress who plays Sam's sister, Adepero Oduye, makes her second appearance in the show. Which she honestly, I had to pause for a minute because she did a thing that I hate when people do in real life, which is you call someone and then go, I don't have the time for this. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, you called him.
Like, that is a legitimate pet peeve of mine when it doesn't happen often, but when somebody like contacts me and then goes, oh wait, I'm busy, I'll get back to you later. Why don't you contact me if you're busy? Come on.
I just wanted to yell at him.
Which was funny, but yeah.
She wanted to yell at him.
So they get caught out. But this is what I was getting to. Somebody else shot Seldy. Like somebody unrelated to the group. And I don't think it was Sharon Carter.
It wasn't Sharon, because she said that you got her shot.
Yeah.
Wait, so acting like it wasn't her. So maybe it was that woman that Sharon gets in the car with at the end there.
Potentially that was which that makes me wonder who she's in league with.
The power broker, maybe. Like, I just want to throw out that question. Who is the power broker? Who do you think the power broker is?
I don't think it's anyone we've ever met, first off. Because they say he's basically the high kingpin of, what's the name of this fictional country?
Madapor,
thank you. He's basically the kingpin of Madapor, is what they say. And they established that I forget her name, so I'm just gonna call her Cloud Rider. Cloud Rider took
Enfys Nest.
Thank you. Carly Morgenthau. Carly Morgenthau took the serum, 20 vials of it, which means unless they've injected it into more people than they've shown, they've established that there are 8 super soldiers. So there's 12 more vials of this stuff that are still in her possession. But they established that she took 20 vials from the scientist who is under the employ of the power broker, which is why he's chasing after her. So that person
will probably get more super soldiers.
Right. Well, something will happen. We'll see what happens.
Captain America, Battlestar, probably them.
Oh, you think they'll do that?
Yeah, I really do, because a lot of people have this idea. I don't share it, but I hear a lot of people saying that Sam can't be Captain America. He's not a super soldier. And,
I don't know, man. Walker's doing a pretty good job without being a super soldier.
And I'm not sure either way. Like I never thought that he had to be a super soldier to be Captain America. He is, like, in the comic books, like, he gets a blood transfusion from Steve, and that gives him super soldier abilities. But I don't think he ever needed that. I don't think Steve ever thought he needed that to be Captain America. I think it's just, hey, take the shield, be a symbol.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like Batman. Anybody can be the Batman, whether you have superpowers or not.
And I will say, all things considered, obviously we have very few things to go off of. But I'd say all things considered, both Falcon and Walker, and honestly Battlestar, all come from the same militaristic background training. They held up decently well against the super soldiers. I mean, they held up about as well as Bucky, who also got his ass handed to him in that scene. So it's like
they didn't beat them.
Huh?
They didn't beat them. They didn't capture.
They didn't win. But
who he was dealing with, he wouldn't have gotten beat there.
Right. He overestimated what he was dealing. He underestimated.
He was like, "Oh, little girl, can I help you?"
Yeah. But yeah, so it is rather interesting. So we move forward.
I still think it's Thaddeus Ross. Like that's my Mephisto for this season. Mephisto, there's China thing. China is not affiliated or defiliated in any way with William Hurt or Thunderbolt Ross. They're allowed to show movies that have Thunderbolt Ross in it. So I don't think they're going to be restricted from using Thunderbolt Ross.
Not by China.
It was the plan for WandaVision. I really do. And then I think Big Disney came in and said, nope, can't do that. I really, really do think that. Because it's not just that thing that, oh, you're seeing things that you want to see. There are things in that show. Demon Spawn, Not the Only Place the Devil is, like all those things. They were screaming out Mephisto, and it wasn't enough to be a misdirect where it's like, oh, ha, you thought it was Mephisto, but it was actually Agatha Harkness, and that's not enough of a reveal. I think that script was altered, to put politely, but I don't think they have the problem with Thunderbolt Ross because Thunderbolt Ross is welcome in China.
he can go to China. So let's go ahead and keep moving through. So we get into this chase action sequence where they're being chased by the people in the club, and that's when, lo and behold, another one of our lead characters we were missing up until now. Huh?
I was doing the Aussie thing. Sharon.
Oh, Sharon Osbourne. Fuck. Sharon Osbourne shows up. No.
You should have had Sharon Osbourne play that fence. That would have been perfect.
Sharon Carter shows up, saves their ass, and basically reveal. And again, this is one of the things I was looking forward to when I found out she was coming back, because I always wondered, she did technically break the law. Like, she stole government property, and I'm pretty sure she also committed espionage technically.
Not an Avenger.
So it's like, what happened to her?
Gave intelligence to Steve.
Yeah, espionage. Yeah. So that's that's one of the things that like was interesting to me. Was I was always like, what happened to her? And so they establish basically, did they say whether she got dusted or not?
She was not blipped. She was there for the 5 years. I just think it's funny. I want to like picture just like she mentioned like she didn't have the Avengers to back her up, like those two did, like because they fought to save Earth, they were pardoned. It's just like Wong getting everybody. It's like, what, you wanted more? And then Sharon just like waiting there, like she's got her gun, she's got her like tactical gear, she's ready to go kill her. It's like waiting for the wormhole to open, and just like, hello.
Oh, listen. Depending on how much ass Florence Pugh kicks in Black Widow, I'm gonna be going, why wasn't she brought to the battle? Come on.
Yeah. Like there are some people.
We needed more women for that shot.
Yo, where were they?
We needed more women for that shot.
Where's the Mandarin? Bring the Mandarin in.
Oh God.
No, Michelle Yeoh Mandarin. I'm telling you right now, that's my next big prediction. Michelle Yeoh is the Mandarin. They've already announced somebody else is the Mandarin that's a no-name actor. Nope. Michelle Yeoh's in that movie. She's the Mandarin. Mark my words.
You think they do another Mandarin twist?
Yes. That's why. Because you're like, they're not going to do that. Oh, they did it again. Because that's what, like, I thought about Spider-Man Far From Home. It's like, okay, they're not going to do another, like, one of those Tony Stark is the villain, like Tony Stark created the villain, and then they did. Like, Spider-Man Far From Home is a better version of Iron Man 3.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong there. I like Iron Man 3, so
I like Iron Man 3 too. I just hate the Mandarin part, and I just think that that's just such a thing where, like, you have expectations of the Mandarin, you have this no name, and it's like, that's not satisfying, and then. Because that was the problem with that, was that the truth was not better than the tease. In that situation, the truth needs to be better than the tease. Now, this tease of the actual Mandarin as like this actor that we don't really know his name.
Hold on.
Versus truth, Michelle Yeoh.
I have to jump in here. All right. Now, as somebody who is not the I'm not the biggest connoisseur of Asian cinema, but I do know a little bit. The guy playing the Mandarin, Tony Leung, has been around in Asian cinema for a long time.
He's not Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, but he's also like I believe one of his biggest starring roles was in the film Infernal Affairs, which was the inspiration for Scorsese's Departed.
Yes, Departed. Yes.
So like, it's not like he's a nobody. It's just not necessarily the most known to Americans.
Not a name in American cinema, but Michelle Yeoh is kicking so much ass on Star Trek Discovery.
I don't think there will be a twist, but that's for next year.
The Mandarin. And that's what's also interesting. She's already in the MCU.
Yeah, but they're doing that with Gemma Chan too.
Yeah, no, so if you play an alien character, you're allowed to play a human character too. So
I guess.
Like we're seeing Brolin is Cable. Like that's happening.
Yeah, well, that's Fox, so why wouldn't 20th Century Studios?
Maybe he's the future
Josh Brolin.
Yeah, Brolin. He just grows up. You couldn't live with your own failure.
So Sharon Carter rescues them. We get the reveal that she's been in hiding. She's been in hiding for the last number of years. She wasn't pardoned by the U.S. government. She's still considered a criminal. She probably would be expedited and jailed the moment she steps foot on American soil. And so she's been hiding out in name of the fictional country I can't seem to remember.
Madapur.
Thank you. So she's been hiding out in Madapur, and so
Madapur. I live in Madapur. It's mad.
So we get what is honestly the funniest transition, and Nikki played it earlier, of this like party scene, and literally it's like rave, Zemo doing a fist pump, Falcon looking kind of awkward trying to dance, and then just she rounds the corner to the, what should I say, 3 fugitives of the country in the middle of a dance floor, and she rounds the corner and goes, "Hey, I got the information we need."
That country, there's no extradition in Madapur, so they can do whatever they want.
I guess, but they're wanted. You'd think a bounty hunter would be at that party, like the nicer kind.
That's what's concerning about that scene to me. That's the only thing that didn't work about the whole undercover scene. They know what the Winter Soldier looks like. But they don't know what Falcon looks like. Falcon's here. Do you know who the guy that looked like Kennedy okay, just real world. The guy that killed JFK. Do you know what he looks like? No. You don't know what he looks like. Nobody knows what he looks like. But Tom Brady, you know what he looks like. He's an American hero.
All right.
Tom Brady is the closest thing we have to Falcon.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I could loosely try and defend that, but you're not totally wrong.
I don't like Tom Brady.
All I can say for the Winter Soldier is it seems like they're in the seedy underbelly thing. So it's kind of like, well, you know, the whole universe might not know who Din Djarin is in The Mandalorian, but damn, if you go into the seedy underbars like Navarro, they fucking know who he is.
I guess, but it's just like a stretch. Like he had a haircut, and they could recognize him. And
they complimented his haircut.
Has a different clothes, and that's one of the things that people get on about, like with the secret identity thing. You can change someone's hair and makeup and make them look like a different person. Like they look like a different person. If you were to go to like Emily Van Camp and gave her a different haircut and like different glass, she'd look like a different person.
Yeah.
So like it can be done. I'm just saying, he didn't look like a different person. He just looked like if Anthony Mackie was a pimp.
Fair enough. He pulled it off. So Emily Van Camp gets Deus Ex Machina's the information they need, and they go to a shipping dock in which they find a scientific base built within one of the shipping containers, and they confront the scientist who...
I thought that was going to be the leader.
Oh, Tim Blake Nelson?
Tim Blake Nelson, yeah. When I saw him from behind, I'm like, oh my God, is that Tim Blake Nelson? And then it's like, no.
That'd be real deep. That'd be real deep.
Cool. He could be the power broker too.
So they find the scientist, and which I like, we talked about this. Hydra's always got something to do with it, and they did have something to do with it here. The scientist is basically, again, the U.S. never learning its mistakes. The scientist was hired by Hydra to attempt to expedite the Winter Soldier formula. He worked on the project in Siberia that Zemo killed, but when that project failed, he was brought into the U.S. and hired by the CIA to work for their department, got dusted. When he came back, the project had been canned, and so he moved to Madripoor. He moved to Madripoor. It's finally sticking. He moved to Madripoor and was hired on by the power broker to basically continue the same experiment to figure out how to reverse engineer. They didn't say it by name, but very clearly they were reverse engineering Isaiah Bradley's blood in an attempt to... Yeah, and I like that, the quick look, and Falcon's like, oh, shit, because they know where that came from.
For a second, I thought they were talking about Walker.
No, I don't think so.
Like, he says he has no powers, but does he? I don't think he has powers. I think he's going to get powers. Like, I think, they, like you said, there's those other 12 vials of super soldier serum out there. I think you can mark some of those, like, one's for Falcon, one's for Walker, one's for Battlestar.
Potentially. Yeah. Walker, I think, is the most obvious of the three. Part of me thinks if Walker turns, I don't think Battlestar turns with him. Because you can already see a building of Division Immortals between the two.
Battlestar, what did you think of that book?
Yeah, not being completely comfortable. Also, Battlestar was the one who was, in the second time around, kind of pushing even more to try and get them to work together. He wasn't so quick to make divisional statements.
What do you think about the "don't you know who I am"? Like, I love that he said that, because it just shows, like, it's like what Tywin Lannister says in Game of Thrones. If you have to say I am the king, you're not.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did like the response, because he may be Captain America, but he isn't Captain America yet. Yeah. And again, that plays into, they could use that to make a villainous turn, or they could use it to play into the tragedy of the character of, look, this is just a dude trying to do his job who's getting screwed left, right, and center.
Because what Steve would have done in that situation, he would have said, like, I know what you're doing. You think what you're doing is right, but these people are dangerous. They might hurt somebody. They could hurt innocent people. Please tell me what you know. Like, Steve wouldn't have been all aggressive. Even before they go in, he said, don't give them a chance to breathe. That is brutal. That is militaristic, like might, this just this thug attitude that he has. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so to kind of roll through the plots, we can kind of start to wrap up in a bit here.
Sharon kills everyone.
Yeah, so they go to the scientists. They discover that I believe it's Isaiah Bradley is what they're referencing.
Yeah, I do too.
But basically, he's
later on too.
They're reverse engineering blood. This is the guy who was able to crack it. He was able to create 20 vials of serum before it was stolen from him by Carly Morgenthau. That's why the power broker is after him. It's at that point that the hitmen start to show up. Sharon Carter starts John Wicking them fucking all around.
Kills everyone.
I mean, literally the moves were like John Wick. Like, I'm watching this going, if this were John Wick, that knife goes into that dude's eye, not his arm, and the bullets are going to the head. But it's basically John Wick.
Yeah, she's great.
And so that was a great scene to watch. And then the tension within the scene, and obviously it concludes. Carter defeats all the guys, but knows more's coming, goes into the science room with them in an attempt to try and get them to leave. Yeah. And Zemo, having found one of the scientists' guns, decides to shoot and kill him.
And I like how he's searching under every desk, just because, like, somebody that paranoid would have guns everywhere under the desk. It's like with Black Widow in Age of Ultron. She's just pulling guns out of everywhere. Right. I always love that. Whenever somebody has, like, a gun holster, like, screwed in their desk. They even did it. See, that's what I love about this. Captain Picard even has a gun screwed in under his desk. That's how cool people who have guns screwed under their desk are. They're prepared for anything. And then Zemo just shoots the guy with it. But what I thought was cool about that is, like, they blow up. How did they survive that explosion?
Because the impact didn't hit them directly. So they weren't next to it. What happened was they shot the outer wall, which blew, and that hit the shelves, which chucked those around. So it's like they got residual impact and just braced for the explosion, but they weren't right on top of it.
I think Bucky would have survived that. I don't think the other two surviving that, just because.
Well, they're all super powered.
You would have gotten cooked. You would have gotten cooked,
plot armor,
shredded by glass or something. Because there were just vials of beakers of chemicals and like stuff like that. Like this is an oven.
They're wearing plot armor.
Plot armor, yes, they are in plot armor. That is correct.
So they move on from the scientist. The scientist is dead. I think that's another thing I think they'll come back to. There's a motive as to why Zemo killed him. And
to get that serum. That's what it is. He wanted that. It's like, this is the only guy who can recreate it. Bang. Nobody can recreate it.
True. And I think they'll get into that. But so they have another fight scene. They try and fight their way out. And again, this is the moment. You think Zemo's betrayed them because he's the first one to recover from the explosion, and he runs. He's gone. And they're like, oh, where did he go? And then it's revealed as they're trying to shoot their way out. Bucky and Sam are having their little couples fight, and they look like they're starting to run out of ammo. Bucky's gun clicks. I heard that. So they're clearly starting to run out of ammo. And Zemo comes back out with the mask on and puts that military training to use and ends up getting his own kind of John Wick moment and taking out the rest of the dudes. And again,
get that cool car.
In the best way possible, we're seeing imagery ripped straight from John Wick, where he like shoots a dude and then immediately picks the body up to use it as bullet cover and shoots another guy. Like,
and I love there's a slight pause before he shoots one of them, and I love that. Like, just a slight pause, because it's like it shows that he's thinking about it.
Right, he's calculating every move, and so. He comes back. He does end up, after that, he kind of escapes again, and he ends up somehow in the middle of a shipping dock, finds a really nice convertible, brings it back around.
It was a Pontiac convertible, I believe. May have been a 68.
Wow.
Could be wrong.
So he brings it around. Bucky, Sam obviously hop in. Sharon says that she's not going with them because she knows she'll be arrested if she steps out of country, but reminds Sam, get me that pardon, I promise. So she'll definitely be back, which I'm looking forward to, because I thought she was great in this episode. She did a great job. And so they leave, they get back on the plane. We get the second phone cameo where they take one of the pieces of information. They learn the name of Morgenthau's relative who's sick, and they pass that information on to their military informant, Danny Ramirez, who's going to track that for him. And so from there, we kind of, and I'm a little out of order here, I think, but we cut to the Flag Smashers, who have raided a base of some kind.
Yeah. It seems like it was a stash facility for like it's like and there's some like real world implication here where it's like when you donate to some place like the Red Cross or any place that's like a charity, they stockpile these goods, and they do like she's saying, you were just sitting on that stuff. They have like release strategies and all this stuff. So that's like a real world thing that do like these organizations, FEMA and American Red Cross. They have stockpiles of this stuff, but that doesn't mean that they don't need you to donate, because if people stop donating, then those run out.
The piles run dry.
That's where I think this is the first time where like we've been in the gray with the Flag Smashers. And this is where like we crossed the line. You murdered people who were just doing their like jobs, guarding food and medicine.
Very similarly, almost to how Battlestar's kind of seemingly almost starting to look at John in a bit of a different light. I don't know the character's name, but the dude who in the first episode they assumed was in charge of the Flag Smashers is with her. She's like, put your belt on, let's get out of here. And it's revealed she strapped a bomb to the car that lit a fire in the building and burned and killed all the civilians within the building. And so, and she says, like,
they had SWAT on. They were military.
They were military, but still, they were innocent in that sense. And so it's, he's like questioning, and he's like looking at her and questioning her, like, what are you doing? Why are we doing this? And she says violence is the only language that they'll understand, which again is sort of like, okay, we're starting to see a bit of a division of sides here. Not everyone is agreeing with how we're going about it.
No.
Which I really like because, and again, this is a show that's got overtly political at points with the race stuff in the first 2 episodes, but now we're talking about ideology, whether it be with potentially Cap and Battlestar, whether it be with the Flag Smashers. We're seeing how even within certain ideologies there can be differences and disagreements, and how will that pan out over the course of the next 3 episodes, because we're at the halfway point.
It's like the ideology of terrorism. So like terrorism, it's called terrorism when it's against the government that's in control, like the powers that be. And this is something that happens a lot, like a Star Trek reference, Deep Space Nine, Major Kira Nerys, she is a terrorist. She is a self-admitted terrorist who overthrows it. It's like a Jewish occupation, Hitler concentration camp type thing. And she overthrows, but she is flat out a terrorist. She is bombing places. That's what this is. Like Carly Morgenthau is like a self-proclaimed terrorist that is fighting for something that is legitimate. And that's really one of those like moral conundrums that we have in real life. At what point does peaceful negotiation, does communication not be enough? And at what point do you actually have to blow up these hard targets?
Right.
Like so that's why I was making like they weren't necessarily civilians in there. We don't know who they're working for. We don't know who's heading up this organization. If it's headed up by like someone like Hydra or Thunderbolt Ross or one of those big bads that's out there, Victor Von Doom. That's another thing this episode. They went to Latva a few times. I had to double check 3 times when it said Latva because I thought it said Latveria. I thought it said Latveria.
So and I'll get to that in a second. Latva is where they end the episode. Yes.
Yeah, and I thought that's Latveria 3 different times. So if this turns out that they're working for Victor Von Doom, then okay, that was probably the right thing to do, blowing that place up. But if they're just working for, it's President Ellis in America, then he's not really a bad guy.
Is that guy still in term?
Probably not. I mean, if he got blipped, then who knows? Really, how does that work? Does the new president get pushed out? No, you're president now because technically you're not dead. You didn't. It's just the moral implications of what they did. How many threats did they create by bringing half the universe back? I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it. It's just how many new threats.
And I like that we're exploring that, because it is a case of emotionality versus logic, right? Logically, there are reasons they probably shouldn't have done what they did, but the emotionality of it, of them losing friends and comrades and people they fought alongside, and like Rocket and Nebula Guardians, in their case, literal family to them. And Steve being, kind of a support worker and working on the front line, seeing how emotionally damaged some people are still from the dusting. It is very interesting how they're going about it. And I really like that we're getting into this, because that was one of the things that disappointed me in Far From Home. Was it's the first movie after, and we don't really ever address it outside of the joke in the opening, and like, when we left, that kid was in middle school. Now he's like older than me and hot, and it's like,
I was very much seeing it from a kid's perspective, was what that movie was trying to do. Like, okay, if you're a kid growing up and midway through high school, there's a 5-year break, and then you're just automatically back. At that point, like, it's like having, like, when people say, like, it's easier to be someone who gets, like, one of their senses removed as a kid, because then you can adapt to it instead of having something as an adult where you're not adapting anymore. You are who you are, but when you're a kid, that's just part of growing up for you.
Yeah, fair enough. And absolutely, it's a very interesting discussion and debate behind it over what's what. But we're over an hour now, so let me wrap this up quickly.
So goes up, and that's the end.
Yeah, so we end the episode in Latvia, where there it looks like they believe they may have another lead on the Flag Smashers there, and while they're walking down a street, Bucky recognizes a Wakandan. I believe it's a tracking probe.
Yeah, the Komoyo beads.
Thank you, Komoyo beads. That's what it's called. He recognizes one of the Komoyo beads, right? Which obviously, and I like that they're kind of, and it's a connection that makes sense because he did spend time in Wakanda. So he recognizes it. He goes, huh, and he follows the track down, and then we get the reveal of, oh, I wondered how long it would take for you to catch up to us. It reveals truthfully how calculating Bucky can be, considering it seems like he took into account they would want to come after him for this. And we get the reveal of...
And Sam does say earlier in the episode, do you think the Wakandans just forgot?
Right, true. They do reference it. But yeah, we get the reveal out of all the...
More sense if it was Shuri, though?
Yes, but Florence Kasumba is cheaper. So we get the reveal of Florence Kasumba's Io, who, as Nikki said earlier, she was in Civil War. She was a part of the ensembles of Black Panther and Infinity War. She actually wasn't in Endgame. That's one of the things that she is one of the only major Wakandan fighters. She was unavailable. She was filming another movie.
Huh.
She had to leave. Yeah, she had to leave set mid-production. So she's actually not in Endgame at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, because that's one of the things I remember when I saw the movie. I was like looking at the cast at the end, and I was like, huh. She's not credited, but all the other Wakandans are there. And it was the same thing with like Lupita Nyong'o. Just they were supposed to be in it, but unavailable to film, so they were just kind of taken out.
Nice star.
Yeah, no.
That's weird.
It's just another Wakandan.
Another Wakandan.
Yeah, so the reveal that she's there, she's been tracking them, and she says the line, "I'm here for Zemo," and that's where we cut to credits, which I can't say I love these credits. I love that they're doing movie style credits.
Yeah.
So I want to get into it before we end up quickly. I'll try not to take too long. But I went through all the episodes and kind of tracked and checked out the credits, right? Because from the first episode, we've had so many spaces, right? Like they modeled out how many lead characters they're going to have.
Yeah.
And so, but not every space was filled, right? So obviously the first two were Sebastian Stan, Anthony Mackie. They're doing with them what they did with Wanda and Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany in WandaVision. They're alternating. Then we got Emily Van Camp's credit, which is just a picture of Sharon Carter. We got Wyatt Russell's credit, which is just a picture of Captain America. From there, though, we had the Flag Smashers symbol, which is Aaron Kellerman's credit. One I'll come back to in a second. Then we had they're doing the RIP poster imagery, but we had Winter Soldier code words, which is where Florence Kasumba ended up getting credited, which makes sense because the coding was broken in Wakanda. That's a tie that makes sense.
Okay.
The Captain America dog tags belong to I believe Joaquin Torres is the actor's name. Yeah. Danny Ramirez is the character.
Zemo switched. Last week they showed Zemo in the spot that they showed Don Cheadle, and then this week they showed Zemo in front of his mask.
No, last week he was in front of the mask too.
He was in front of the mask too?
Huh. Yeah, I checked. I made sure.
Wow.
So Danny Ramirez gets the credit. I confuse those somehow. But yeah, Danny Ramirez gets the credit in front of the dog tags. There's a poster written in French. That's George St. Pierre's credit. There's a picture of a boat and the word family. That's Adepero Odoye's credit, which is the sister. Zemo's mask, obviously, is Daniel Bruhl. And then the credit that Cheadle got put in front of is actually a torn-up version of the logo for the GRM. That's what he was listed in front of. Which is interesting. But the one that we're missing is the two details that I noted from it. It's between Aaron Kellerman and Florence Kasumba, but it has a article title, which is it has a written article, and there's a title that says Lost in the Blip, and where a character's name should be, it's ripped away. and then there's another missing persons poster put next to it that's also kind of torn away at.
That's Jimmy Woo's missing person from WandaVision.
It could be. That was the detail I noticed where I was like, oh, that's so weird. Yeah. Okay, someone who blipped away. Which did Jimmy Woo's person blip away? Did they confirm or deny that at all?
They didn't say. He just said that there was a missing person in witness protection.
Right. So, yeah, it's rather interesting. So I'm very curious to see who that person is. The only reason that I not refute, that seems aggressive. The only reason I don't know if William Hurt is a correct prediction is because this is the only lead character we have left. And those don't seem like indicators for a William Hurt credit.
Mm-hmm.
I realize by doing this, I'm going WandaVision on this show.
No, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. At least you're not saying that White Vision could show. That's the stupidest theory that I've heard, is that White Vision is possibly the power broker. You dumbasses. You absolute dumbasses.
He went from
supposed to come out before WandaVision.
He went from learning about the world to being a gangster? No.
Yeah. This show was supposed to come out before WandaVision. So there's nothing, I don't even think the Jimmy missing person is going to be connected.
They also acknowledge that, which actually, that's not true. What you said.
It's not?
I believe originally, WandaVision was put into pre-production first, and because of internal delays, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to air ahead of it because they thought they'd be finished with that one first. But WandaVision was always meant to go.
They were going to release Falcon and Winter Soldier after, I believe it was going to be in June of last year.
August.
It was sometime after.
It was summer. It was summer. But originally, before
after Black Widow, and then
but before they ever announced dates, WandaVision was actually supposed to go first. So I don't think the two are connected at all because they've interchanged more than once, which would make sense because what the fuck does Bucky and Falcon have to do with that?
Absolutely not.
But I'm very curious who this person will be when they show up. I don't know who it is. I'm aside from Mephisto. Mephisto was missing in WandaVision, so maybe. But I don't know who it could be. It's an interesting detail that I caught, so I thought I might bring it up because it is kind of funny because now that we know all the actors in their particular credits, like when I saw their code words initially, I was like, oh, who the fuck could that be? And like, I would have never guessed Florence Kasumba, but it totally makes sense. Same thing with, and I didn't realize it when they credited him in the first episode, but I didn't realize that Cheadle was in front of the GRM logo. Now that I know what the GRM logo means, yeah, that kind of makes sense because Rhodey's been a government. For that? Well, yeah, Rhodey was with the dude at the ceremony. Remember, he was with the guy that accepted the shield from Bucky.
Like I thought that was more him.
I think it's a bit of both because remember, even though Rhodey has always internally probably sided with the Avengers and like the people against government, like internally he's always been on their side. Rhodey has always from day one been a government lackey. He's always a part of the programs. So it would only make sense that he's a part of this quite simply because it's what the military told him to do.
I think especially his affiliation with the military ended in I think it officially ended in Age of Ultron, and then like the Sokovia Accord stuff happened. But then once he hung up on Thunderbolt Ross, I don't think he. I think they probably take him back in. I think they take him back in a heartbeat because they took Sam back. Sam was doing missions with the military. I wouldn't take her back. But Sam, you do have a point there. Like Sam doing missions for
Sam was working because Torres is nothing.
Contracts too, like independent contractors for the government that could be at like a certain general's.
I mean, Falcon, and they don't say it. Like Falcon could have been under a contract, but the fact that he was able to, and obviously this is a little more prior to the show because they do establish they do establish that they have some sort of relationship that we're seeing grow over the show. But Torres is nothing more than a ground soldier for the military.
Yeah,
He's in the military. So
who's
on some level,
that's a good point. Who is Falcon contracted by?
I think he went back to the military.
He has government contracts. That's proof of income. He was trying to use that as proof of earnings.
I would say the military took him back in, and he is paragliding under paragliding contracts.
Now, here's what could be interesting is that Rhodey was a colonel in the Air Force. Right. If he is working for the Air Force again, him being reinstated, a colonel for the Air Force would have the authority to outsource to independent contractors like mercenaries or Falcon, anybody of that nature. So it could be him. It's just, I feel like he would have been reporting back to him if it was him. What they're doing right now, though, this is just their own thing, I think.
No, and they establish that, right? When they're
Zemo now.
they establish in the second episode, right, when they're talking to Battlestar and Captain America, when they're like, listen, you operate for the government, we operate independently, we can do things that you can never dream of doing, let us handle this. But
only 3 episodes left though, halfway through the season.
And we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Overall, I really, really enjoyed the episode. In terms of entertainment factor, it might be my favorite, but it's not the most complete episode. This is probably the first time I watched a show and just kind of went, oh, that didn't totally feel like a start to finish episode. But it was certainly entertaining while it lasted. And again, I am watching this in the sense of, look, they've said it's a movie that is split up into parts, basically. That's how they're approaching this. And be that as it may, for the halfway point in the movie, I think we've had a lot of interesting developments. I'm interested to see where we're going to go. And overall, I like the episode. I'm looking forward to the next episode. As I said before, they confirmed it, last week. Derek Kolstad is writing both this episode and the next episode. So I'm looking forward to some more heavy action again, probably. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm really enjoying this, and I talked about it with WandaVision. I am kind of treating these and scoring these like they're a movie, not a show. As a collective, I enjoyed WandaVision a lot. Like right now, it is in my top 10 of the MCU. It's number 10. So it'll get bumped out by this no problem, honestly, if I'm being real. This is way exceeding that. Like this to me is hitting the exact notes that I love. My favorite films in the MCU are the ones that feel more grounded. Even if that's not always serious. By grounded, I just mean small stories, whether it be Iron Man, The Winter Soldier, Ant-Man, even to some extent Iron Man 3 kind of fits that with the stuff with the kid, which I enjoy a lot. And so, did you say fuck the kid?
What?
What did you say?
No, I was just I went down a rabbit hole of like articles coming from like years ago.
Oh,
like 2019, and like one of them was just about it's about some actors and actresses that are appearing on Falcon and Winter Soldier, and it's just funny like seeing these casting rumors back then, and then looking
to what the show is.
Like, it's just like, when did this person meet RuPaul? I'm like, how does that factor in to anything and the title of the article, I grant you, is MCU fans will recognize the main villain in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Is this from We Got
RuPaul,
This Covered?
Everybody, we figured it out. RuPaul is the power broker.
Is this from We Got This Covered?
Yeah, no, it was so is apparently this article says like it's the guy that's the other flag smasher, like the secondary flag smasher and the waitress in the sushi restaurant. So those are the people that it's commenting on the casting of these people.
Okay.
It's just a rabbit hole that I went down. I was trying to figure out like what look at, and this article does say that it is said that Falcon and Winter Soldier and the Black Widow movie storylines are closely connected.
Potentially. You could see
that does suggest a Thunderbolt Ross more than anything. But we could be wrong. It could be something else. It could be.
You could be wrong. I'm not saying Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah. See, I have just completely gone off the rails as far as like who is Taskmaster. And after seeing him throw that shield, could it be John Walker?
No, he would have been announced as cast.
Yeah. No, it's just one of those things that, like, seeing him throw that shield. How many people in this universe can throw a shield like that?
Well, Taskmaster.
There's a comic book thing where U.S. agent John Walker learns his shield throwing ability from Taskmaster. So there you
go. Yeah. Which, for what it's worth, since somehow they've managed to keep Taskmaster a secret this long with all these delays. For what it's worth, my bets from the very beginning have been it's either Rachel Weisz, or it's, I forget the actor's name, but there's an agent, there's a SHIELD agent that's in the film that about Black Widow. I forget his name. He's a black gentleman. That
Tony
Black
Masters.
Widow. Huh?
Tony Masters.
No, that a Black Widow, I guess, worked with at some point. I think it could be either one of them because they're the most unassuming choices. Like, you know, but either way,
it's like that trailer came out so long ago. That was the biggest speculation in the MCU at one point, and now it's just not fuck it. Mephisto, Power Broker, Thunderbolt Ross. We don't care about Taskmaster anymore. Bring on Spider-Man 3. It's just been pushed back so much. The last MCU movie that came out in theaters was Spider-Man Far From Home. And we are getting Spider-Man 3 this year. I just think that's hilarious.
Yeah. And with that said, guys, I think that will be it for the review. We've gone off the rails at this point. We've talked about the whole episode. It was a great one, and I'm certainly looking forward to the next episode next week. We will be back. Mr. Beer will be joining us next week. And with that, Nikki, where can people find you?
I don't know. I'm just so confused.
Why are you confused? What's wrong?
I don't know. Like I just like looking at like Marvel articles from like 3 years ago, just seeing like because that's what's amazing about it is like there's these casting rumors that are early on. If you go back and look at articles from way back, you can find stuff. It's just amazing how long ago they actually shot this show. But you can find me on TMG After Dark tomorrow night. I'll be watching Falcon and Winter Soldier probably 50 more times this week because it's fun and yeah, why not?
Fair enough. You guys can find me on everything TMG, myself and the channel head Matt Beer doing trailer reactions and movie reviews as we get to them. I have a couple that I need to get done and dusted for you guys. I have a review for Nobody coming, the action film previously mentioned from one Derek Kolstad. I also, in my bid to try and see as many Oscar-nominated films as possible before the Oscars, for April Fools, I decided to watch two of the biggest prank movies of the last decade in Borat and Borat's subsequent movie film. So I'll have reviews for those coming. And whoever...
a review, like any sort of review for Kong versus Godzilla?
Whoever gets to it first between me or Matt.
I'd like
we
to
were
do
both
a review for that.
We were both supposed to see it by Wednesday, and I believe his screening got canned. And for me, the movie had an immense blow up in box office, and my theater went from almost empty to sold out. And I'm just not comfortable going into that environment.
It was a stupid week for that stuff. Like it just premature.
I'm holding out. I'm holding out to see it in theaters, so that's why. But yeah, when one of us sees it,
I just don't think I'm going to be able to because like things are ridiculous.
True. So With that said, guys, thank you so much for checking us out. Be sure to check out everything we do on TMG. Aside from the trailer reactions and movie reviews, we also have podcast content, as Nikki said. Every Saturday at 9 p.m. EST, we have After Dark that will go up. That's our kind of weekly hangout show. On Sundays at noon EST, we have the Supernova show. This week, the show will be hosted. Colton is out, but never fear, our TM Geek Trivia Commissioner, Kevin Poss, took over. And if there's anyone who knows about Geek, it's a guy who writes Geek questions. So he'll be hosting the show for you. That'll be up on Sunday, unless you already saw the accidentally live version we had earlier tonight. Might as well address it. If you guys check out every Monday, I have Schmo Talks at 7 p.m. EST. This week, it will be going up slightly earlier than that to accommodate for the TM Geek title match, but more on that later. And every Tuesday afternoon, we have Cancel This Show, the political show with Alan Shepard and Matt Beer. That being said, thank you guys. We will see you guys next time on TMG Entertainment.